Hello, Christopher Scott here, coming to you with another small group how-to video. And in this video, I'm going to give you specifically a how to use the Chip Ingram Effective Parenting in a Defective World DVD-based topical study in your small group. Okay, so I'm going to go through several different things in this video. I'm going to talk to you about this study specifically, give you a brief overview of the study, how long it is, what I like about it, what to look for. Then I'm going to talk to you about how you prepare to facilitate a small group discussion. More specifically, how do you prepare to facilitate a DVD-based study like this? Then I'm going to talk to you about what to format your group in, like what are the elements of your group, what do you need to make sure there, and then I'm going to give you some general facilitator tips for using these studies in your small group. So let's start with a few facts and things that I really like about this Bible study guide. It is an 8-week study, and I like these because the books are kind of small, they're tangible, you can hold them in your hand easy, they're light, they're thin, but they're also robust, right? So it's not intimidating where you go and you give somebody this big old, Beth Moore workbook and they're like, whoa, what's this? This is doable. I can grab this and think, okay, I can do this. That's one of the reasons I like this. Also, it's 8 weeks long, so it's not too long or too robust. I also like the DVD material from Chip Ingram and their ministry because it comes with a little insert code on the front flap where people can go online and watch the sessions from the DVD online. So maybe they attend for the first 3 weeks and then they can't make it for that 4th week. They can go online with that code and they can watch the session on their own and stay caught up. So that's a really nice feature if someone happens to miss a week, or maybe the group starts, goes for 2 weeks, and then someone joins on week 3, they can go back and they can watch the first 2 if they really want to on their own. They don't have to. Another reason I love the ministry materials from Living on the Edge and Chip Ingram is because often there are some coaching videos. So on the DVD, there's a coaching video, maybe 3 to 5 minutes for each session, produced by Lance Witt, who's a great guy, provides good small group facilitator helps, and it's just really good basic tips for you as a facilitator, telling you, hey, look out for this, hey, watch out for this. This week we're going to talk about this, so you want to make sure you focus on this. Or at week 6 or 7, he'll remind you, hey, you need to pick a next study for your group, things like that. So there's some coaching videos on the DVDs, which is what I really like. And then another reason I like this, since it's a parenting study, there's a lot of parenting materials out there that forget about blended families, right? They forget about divorce and stepkids and half-brothers and half-sisters and stepmoms and all that. Chip Ingram comes from a blended family, right? And he'll tell that story, right? The 2 boys he has are from his wife's previous marriage, right? And what does that look like in a family, things like that. And how do you, co-parenting and things like that. That's one of the reasons I like Chip Ingram's materials, is he comes from that blended family background that I think applies to a lot of people that might be going through your small group, okay? And then another thing I just wanted to point out to you, the DVDs are good. They have some text at the bottom, but it goes pretty fast. In this series, at least, as I watch them all, they put the text up there and it goes away pretty quick. So make sure you, one thing you want to always do is read the fill-in-the-blanks. Once you pop in the DVD and watch it, read the fill-in-the-blanks to make sure everybody got them or they got the right answers, okay? So that's something you want to do. And even when the material comes up at the bottom of the screen, the fill-in-the-blanks aren't always in bold. Sometimes they're in bold to tell you that's the answer. Sometimes they're not. So that's just something you want to be aware of in your small group, okay? And as a good reminder, small groups aren't always about teaching people brand new information or new insights. Small groups are there to help people apply what they know, to give them encouragement and support to do the things they're trying to do in their lives. So, for example, in one of the sessions, one of the points that Chip Ingram makes is, he says, effective parenting demands that we practice what we preach. Effective parenting demands that we practice what we preach. That's not groundbreaking. That's not new, but we need to make sure we practice what we preach. And do we always practice what we preach? I know I don't as a parent, right? And that's the goal of a small group, is it provides you that community, that support, that encouragement, and even that accountability at times to make sure you're doing what you need to do and learning and growing and saying, and that's why you as a facilitator need to follow up with people week after week. Hey, 2 weeks ago you said you're going to do this. How did it go? Oh, well, I forgot. And then you do it. Okay, well, make sure you do it. And by the way, next week I'm going to ask you how it went. Things like that. That's your role as a small group facilitator, is to lovingly and kindly and gently hold them accountable and support them, okay? So those are some facts, a few facts and things I really like about this study. So now let's talk about how do you prepare for a small group that uses a DVD program, okay? And there's a few different things you want to do to prepare. You want to prepare maybe a month in advance, you want to do a few things, and then each week you're going to do a few things. So a month in advance, what you want to do is you want to pop the DVDs into your DVD player and make sure that they all work, right? Just let them run, make sure they work, because I have gotten defective DVDs before. When you get a box from our church with these guides in it, make sure you have the correct study guides and that you have enough of them, right? And always make sure you have plenty. It's not worth it to just barely have enough and then stress about it, and then someone new shows up and you don't have it, so then you buy another one, then they don't even come back the next week. Just make sure you have plenty. It's worth the money to make sure you have plenty of study guides. Third, you want to adjust the zoom on your DVD, right? So the DVD notes, like I shared, show up at the bottom of the screen. So make sure your TV is not zoomed in to where those notes get pushed down. As you see, as my hand gets closer, it gets pushed down below the screen. And that's what happens with the notes if your TV is zoomed in. So make sure the zoom on your TV is correct and that you can see the notes. And then you want to read the small group leader resources on page 69 of this booklet. They have some great resources to help you as a small group facilitator. They've got a group agreement in there. They've got some planning about snacks, prayer requests, things like that. So spend some time with a highlighter and pen and read through those things about a month before your group starts. Then what you want to do each week before the group occurs is you want to do some different things each week before your group meets. Number one, you want to pop that DVD session in and you want to watch that DVD. So sit there, take notes just like your people would do, all right? Then you want to look through the notes in the back of the study guide for helps, right? So that's on page 74. They'll have usually 4 or 5 bullet point notes back there for you to help you facilitate a good discussion, all right? Then you want to maybe look up in a good study Bible or commentary some of the passages that are talked about in that week's session. Maybe you have questions. It's talking about, the book of Ezra. Who is Ezra and, who is she? It's a he, by the way, but someone in your group might say, who is Ezra? Who is she? And you need to have a little bit of a background to know, Ezra was a priest, a man that helped the nation of Israel after they returned from Babylon and Persia to the nation of Judah, right? So that's just a little background, okay? And then you want to watch the coaching videos that are provided for you on the DVDs, like I mentioned earlier. They're like 3 to 5 minutes. They're super short and sweet, but they're worth it to watch. And then you want to take some time and answer the questions in the guide just like you would as a participant. This shouldn't take long, maybe 45 minutes a week total. The first couple weeks it'll take longer, but once you get the feel for it, it'll go quick and easy, okay? So that's how you want to prepare to facilitate a small group discussion, right? Second thing, let's talk about how you want to format your group, right? So what does a small group meeting format look like? So at our church, we have 3 basic elements every small group should have in specific order, and then 2 elements you can add at the beginning or end, or 1 at the beginning, 1 at the end. It doesn't matter how you order them, you just want to be consistent each and every week, right? And so those 3 elements you need to do every week and do in order is start with the unifying question. I got a video up there on the unifying question, what it is and why you want to do it in your group. But basically the unifying question is where you start your group out asking, what did you all learn from? What did you take away from the message at church over the weekend, right? And we do that for a couple reasons. Number one, if your group meets on a Tuesday or Wednesday, the group has probably already forgot what the sermon was about on Sunday, okay? So we want to remind them of what they learned. Number two, we want them to be applying what they learned in the small group and applying it to their lives. And when you ask them on Tuesday or Wednesday, each and every week, it kind of starts to cue their brain in, hey, I better remember, I better do this so I can talk about it when my facilitator brings it up. Another reason we do the unifying question is that we never want small groups to replace people attending church. We want small groups to complement people attending church, right? So we want small groups to complement people attending church, not replace it. Meaning we want people to go to a church service on the weekend, on a Sunday or whatever that might be, to participate in worship, to love people, to meet new people they don't know, things like that. And then we also want people to be in a small group where they can get to know people more in depth and love each other and serve each other in that way. So that's why we start with the unifying question. First thing you want to do in your group, start with the unifying question. Number 2, watch the DVD. Number 3, work through the discussion guide in the study guide, right? Usually there's 7 or 8 questions per week. It's not a lot. So that you just work through that in the group, okay? Then those 2 elements you can add to the beginning or the end of your small group is it can be snacks and then prayer time. And I got a video up there about how to organize prayer time in your group. I encourage you to find someone dedicated and loyal in your group. They can be your prayer person that prays for people, that keeps track of the list, things like that, okay? Now I want to give you some basics of facilitating a small group, some basic tips, along with maybe some more specific tips for using these guides, okay? So how many weeks do you want to spend per lesson, right? These guides are pretty short. They're pretty easy. You can get through one lesson per week, most likely. As long as your group's meeting for an hour and 15 minutes or longer, you can get through one lesson per week, okay? So you don't need to stretch it out. Don't make an 8-week lesson, 8-week program, 24 weeks, right? You can do one per week. If you need to take longer, that's definitely okay, but you should be able to cover one per week. And then how do you work through the different guides? This Chip Ingram material is organized really simply. Each session has a take it in section where you watch the DVD and you take it in. And then there's a talk it over section. And that's the 5 to 8 questions, 6 to 8 questions that you can go through. And that includes the live it out, the bio section, which we'll talk about in the guide. So take it in, talk it out, and then there's the accelerate material that is meant for people to do on their own in their own personal devotion time, right? So as a small group, maybe you want to do that accelerate material in your group. That's okay, as long as you feel like people are doing the material, applying it to their lives, and developing and growing through the process, right? So that's how you can do it. The take it in is a DVD. The talk it over you do as a discussion. The accelerate is meant to be something you do as homework on your own. But you can do it in your group too if you want to double the amount of time that your groups take, okay? Any other basic facilitator tips? I got some other. Number one, you remember, you facilitate. You don't preach or teach. Our small groups are meant to facilitate a discussion, get people talking about the Bible, talk about parenting more specifically, and help them start preparing and applying it to their lives, okay? It's good to remember also that application is more important than completion. There might be 7 questions for that week, that session that you're in. Let's say you get into questions 3 and 4 and 5, and the people, they're really talking about it a lot. They're getting into it. They're discussing it. They're staying on topic, but they're going really deep. It's okay. Don't feel rushed that you have to cover all the questions. Remember, it's more important that they're staying on topic and applying what they're learning than to actually cover all the questions, right? And then you want to follow up with your group over time. If they say something in session 3 about, hey, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to try out this new parenting method with my child, when it comes to session 4, 5, and 6, write yourself a little note in the study guide to follow back up. Hey, how did that go? How did that work? Did it work well? Did it not work well? That way the group can learn from their experience, and you're kind of holding the group accountable to be applying what they're learning to their lives. Lastly, what do you charge for the groups? At our church, we usually ask people to give $10 to purchase a book that the small group facilitators collect into an envelope, and then that gets turned into church. I encourage you to try to collect that $10 from everybody. Don't be legalistic, just announce it. Try to collect it as needed there. If someone comes to the group, they buy a guide one week for $10, and they come the next week and they say, oh, I forgot it. You can loan them a guide to use, but then make sure you get it back. Don't just keep giving them guides over and over and over again. So I hope that this is a helpful video for you about how you facilitate a small group, more specifically using the Effective Parenting in a Defective World study material from Chip Ingram and Living on the Edge. I love these guides. They're great material, and I hope this video is helpful for you as you help people learn how to be effective parents in a defective world. If you found this video helpful, you can subscribe up there and get updates on future videos. I got a bunch of other small group facilitator tips on the Living on the Edge materials over there. Or if you want just some general small group facilitator tips, I got a playlist there with a bunch of videos. Or if you want to get some, maybe do a verse-by-verse study sometime in the future, I got some good how-to videos over there. Thanks for watching, and I hope to catch you again very soon.